and the gods don't favor a fraud.
Then why have they favored me?
So Duncan believes he's a fraud. Could it be because Sir Arlen never knighted him? Yeah, we're never getting confirmation about that theory, and I love it. Episode 6, the finale of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms Season 1, is called The Morrow. No spoilers for future episodes of Dunk and Egg, but if I do, I'll warn you first. Is this the first time we've heard jazz on Game of Thrones? That was invented around the turn of the 20th century, so the music is anachronistic, but I don't really care.
You like jazz? No, that's no good.
Oh wait, it's a meme. It's because Beesbury, because there's a queen bee in that coffin, so there's jazz music. Alright, Ira, careful now. I like you, but careful. Okay, listen, I don't know who these background characters are meant to be. Probably they're just some lords and ladies who want to pay their respect to a dead prince. All these white-haired folks look old enough to actually just have white hair, so they're not necessarily Valyrian. But if we want to get annoying, this guy could possibly be Mykar's older brother, Rhaegal, making this his wife, Alyce Arryn. But if that's true, they look awful for their age, which should be like late 30s. Also, does that mean that Rhaegal was here the whole time? He couldn't have ridden here from King's Landing that quickly, and I don't see him in the Targaryen arrival party from episode 2, and I don't see him in the stands anywhere during the tourney. I don't know. This lady with pink hair is certainly Valar's wife, Lady Kira of Tyrosh. This is Manfred Dondarrion, obviously, standing next to another couple of white-haired folks. They look pretty young actually, like mid-20s maybe, early 30s, I don't know. I was thinking they could be Rhaegal's twins, Aelor and Aelora, which could make sense if this is in fact Rhaegal and Alyce. But these actors both look like women to me. I'm not out here trying to assume genders, but you know what? Let's move on. Valar's line about Baelor dying in his son's armor makes me wish we got to see their conversation before the Trial of Seven. I'm inferring Valar's point here as Baelor was such a noble guy, he would rather fight and help Dunk himself in armor that doesn't even fit him properly than let his son fight and get seriously injured or killed. Rather than convince Valar to fight on behalf of Dunk, Baelor simply borrowed his armor and got the job done himself. I guess if I'm inferring Valar's meaning correctly here, then we didn't need to see that scene after all. Their conversation is basically book accurate, although Valar's tone is changed. In my opinion, anyway. I always read this passage as Valar being very pointed and obvious about considering Dunk's life to be worth less than Baelor's. Why would the gods take him and leave you? That you is italicized, but in the show, Valar says it a bit more wistfully.
Why would the gods take him and leave you?
Like he's seriously wondering, is there some divine point to all of this? Did the gods have a reason for killing Baelor and keeping this random hedge knight alive? This episode got pretty theological at points, with Dunk wondering why the gods favored him, and then Valar wondering why the gods killed Baelor and saved Dunk. There is something in the air with this story that feels almost numinous or providential, whether it's literal gods interfering with who lives and who dies, or if it's all a prophecy foreseen by Daeron the Drunken, or perhaps it's just Bloodraven warging the shit out of the situation. Lots to ponder on, but very few answers. This video is brought to you by my patrons. If you enjoy my channel and you want to support me further, please give me $5 per month in exchange for these perks: early access, updates, your username immortalized right here, etc. Okay, thanks, back to the video now. Raymond shows Dunk his new green apple shield, setting himself apart from the red apple fossoways like his meanie cousin. In the book, this scene takes place before the trial, so I just assumed they cut it, but I'm glad to see they've added it here. I'm also glad to see Red getting more screen time, now going by the name Rowan, which is pretty funny since that's literally the actress's first name. Woof. Raymond doesn't know she was doing sex work for Manfred Dondarrion, and Dunk is a solid lad who keeps her previous life a secret. Some men really do get it all. A knighthood, a cool new shield, a gorgeous wife, a burgeoning cider business. This scene between Duncan and Prince Mykar is basically one-to-one with the book, except the show splits it up into multiple conversations. The book version takes place entirely by Dunk's elm tree, so we miss out on Mykar's sassy entrance. We get the line about Mykar not kinslaying Baelor on purpose, but many folks will say he did. And the same goes for Duncan. folks will say Baelor died for a hedge knight. However, the show does cut my favorite part of the scene. After Dunk posits that someday the realm might need his sword, his protection, more than they need Prince Baelor. Again, touching on that theme about Dunk's life having some sort of divine purpose, and then Mike says it's not bloody likely. Well, in the book, Dunk throws it back to Mike, and says, if your grace has a better answer, I'd want to hear it. Basically, asking Mykar to confront the absurd situation and theorize why on earth the gods have left Dunk instead of Baelor. In the book, Mike's answer is, it may be that the gods have a taste for cruel japes. Or perhaps there are no gods. Perhaps none of this had any meaning. I'd ask the High Septon, but the last time I went to him he told me that no man can truly understand the workings of the gods. Perhaps he should try sleeping under a tree. To me, this is cinema writ small. It condenses George Martin's entire position on gods and divinity into one guy's bitter remark. Maybe the gods are jokesters, or there are no gods and none of this means anything. What's important are the choices humans make, the heart in conflict with itself. Mykar finds himself with an objectively horrible son, and the fact that he's a prince of the realm who must be defended in the eyes of their subjects. He chooses one blood over another, his son over his brother, and he'll spend the rest of his life paying for that choice. The show also changes the part where Dunk basically immediately agrees to take Egg on as his squire, but only if they can do it on the road, not at Summerhall. But Ira Parker didn't want his episode to be 12 minutes long, so we get some more scenes in between.
Magic?
What?
2 Rowan scenes in 1 episode? We're getting spoiled, folks. And we got a little something here with these kids under the table, mayhaps a reference to the lore. One girl says, "Do you yield, dragon whore?" And the other girl replies, "Eat shit, Sarah." And the subtitles do spell it Sarrah. The subtitles have been questionable in the past, so I wonder if the name was meant to be Sarah, and the child actor just flubbed the line. Or that's just how they're choosing to pronounce it. Sarah Targaryen was the 9th child of King Jaehaerys, the one who was a promiscuous teenager and eventually self-exiled herself to the Free Cities, where she worked in brothels for the rest of her life. Perhaps Westeros remembers her as the Dragon Whore. House of the Dragon referenced Sarah as well. They made Hugh Hammer to be one of Sarah's bastard sons. If you're curious about Sarah's whole story, I talked about her quite a bit in my Hidden Targaryens video from a while ago. And my next video is going to be a ranking of all 100 plus Targaryens in A Song of Ice and Fire history. A huge tier list video, basically. It's been available early on my Patreon for a little while now, but I'll release it here on March 1st. Tune in to see where I rank Sarah, and Mykar, and the rest of these guys, I guess. I really enjoyed this invented scene between Daeron and Dunk. Daeron's opinion is that Dunk should take Egg as squire. Daeron himself was doing a shit job of it, and he wants Egg to turn out different than Aerion. In fact, he says Aerion was once a happy child like Egg is currently, and we've seen how Aerion turned out. Daeron doesn't want Egg to go down that same path, and he's too much of a drunken lout to help rear Egg himself. And we see in the literal next shot, Egg is considering murdering Aerion, or maybe just putting the knife to Aerion's balls the way he used to do to him, and Daeron doesn't want Egg to act like Aerion. And now I have something spoilery to say. Skip to this timestamp to avoid it. Daeron wonders if the seeds of madness are planted in the womb, that it's genetic and you can't help it. Even though Aerion was once a glad child, he became insane. His death, years in the future, is caused by him drinking a jar of wildfire, believing it would transform him into a dragon. Well, Egg certainly doesn't seem insane, but his fate is perhaps kind of similar to Aerion's. He never goes cruel with his madness, but he becomes obsessed with dragons and commits a blood magic atrocity at Summerhall. Was this seed planted in Egg inside Diana Dane's womb? Kind of a bleak answer, and I personally doubt it. I think sometimes people are simply insane, and it's inside their DNA or their brains. And sometimes people become insane after some inciting incident or series of incidents. For Mad King Aerys, that inciting incident was the defiance of Duskendale, basically. He wasn't exactly a mensch before that, but he truly came off the rails after. I think it was the same for Egg. Normal his entire life, but slowly worn down by aggravating sons and lords who won't obey him. The solution he finds is dragons.
I want you to know I do not blame you for ruining my name day. It was a rotten thing they've done to you. And you were right in your reply.
Alright, pack it in, boys. We've hit the female dialogue quota for this season. Don't want to hear another peep out of them women. I do love Mykar calling Egg his last son. Another Ira Parker invention, and it hits me right in the gooey section of my Arby's riddled heart. The proud, bitter Prince Mykar is subtextually admitting his own failure with Daron and Arion. One's a worthless drunk. That was harsh. Daron's not worthless, he's just worth less. And Arion is Arion. And he doesn't even have Aemon anymore. That kid's over at the Citadel learning how to become boring. All he has is Egg, because girls don't count. But even Mykar has enough humility to admit that a different environment, one that doesn't involve him being a father, might ensure Egg turns out halfway decent. We love a self-aware king, don't we folks? Dunk nails a penny into his elm tree. This is because Arlen of Pennytree was from Pennytree, a village where pennies are nailed to a tree. We learn about that in a Jaime chapter from A Dance with Dragons. George loves putting Easter eggs from his different Ice and Fire stories into each other. And Pennytree is actually kinda relevant to the plot of the main series now. Well, by now, I mean 2011. Jaime's at Pennytree solving a border dispute between the Brackens and the Blackwoods. A tale as old as time. They camp in Pennytree, which is apparently owned by neither family. It's a royal fief, land owned by the crown for 100 years. Anyways, this is where Brienne finds Jaime again, after leaving him in Book 3 to go search for the Stark girls. She tells Jaime she's found Sansa, she's just a day's ride away, being held captive by the Hound. So Jaime leaves Pennytree with Brienne, and we haven't seen him since.
I'm still working on the book. That's the question you all want to ask. Don't fucking ask it.
Because we've read Brienne's previous chapters, and Jaime hasn't, we know that Jaime's walking into Lady Stoneheart's trap, but we don't know how Jaime's gonna get himself out of this one. This isn't relevant really at all, but I'm just really anxious to learn what happens to Jaime and Brienne.
There are 9 kingdoms, sir.
Are you mad?
Thank you, Egg. I think Ira Parker is doing a little meta Easter egg for us dorks out here who like counting kingdoms. Technically, at this stage of Westerosi history, Egg is correct. The 9 kingdoms are the North, the Vale, the Riverlands, the Westerlands, the Crownlands, the Reach, the Iron Islands, the Stormlands, and Dorne. But there were 7 kingdoms when Aegon the Conqueror conquered Westeros. The Iron King, Harrenhal, controlled the Iron Islands, the Riverlands, and most of what is now called the Crownlands. So that was all just one kingdom, the Kingdom of the Isles and Rivers. So the 7 kingdoms that Aegon was trying to conquer are these 7. And the term just never got updated, and Dunk never thought about it.
Where's Aegon?
I've not seen him, my prince. I will ask the Septons.
Where the fuck is he?
Now this is interesting. Egg lied about Mykar saying it was okay for him to go with Dunk. Technically, this is totally plausible in the book. Here's how the Hedge Knight ends. Mykar hears Dunk out about taking Egg on the road, doesn't give him an answer, and then we cut to Egg saying my father told me to serve you. If this was a fan theory, that Egg was lying the whole time, I've never heard of it, but I kind of love it. Or mayhaps George just told Ira Parker that's secretly what happens in the books. I hope somebody asks him in an interview or a panel the next time he's not writing Winds.
I'm still working.
Get back to work, Dragon Boy. The episode cuts to black with 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie Ford playing. This is a famous song from the 1940s, and certainly doesn't belong on my Knights of the Seven Dragons show. But what you don't realize is, I don't care. Pretty cool. And Light of the Seven, that score during Game of Thrones Season 6 finale, that's got piano in it, and pianos aren't from Knights and Dragons times either, so the music was never period accurate. Plus it's fantasy, plus it's fun, plus who cares, plus ratio. Anywho, that's all I have to say about that. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the episode and the adaptation as a whole so far. I'm very excited for Season 2, which should be releasing around this same time next year, 2027. Until then, we've got House of the Dragon in the summer and the Winds of Winter around the holidays. Thanks for watching, goodbye.